The announcement for the third iteration of everyone's favorite third-person shooter video game Splatoon came as a shock to many fans, but now that the dust has settled, players have got a wish list for Nintendo. With hopeful predictions and greedy eyes, fans hope that Splatoon 3 will surpass its predecessors in terms of gameplay, weapons, modes, maps, and other areas. What exactly are fans demanding? Well, here are 10 things that players want for Splatoon 3. Boss Rush mode. This one is pretty understandable. Most fans would like Nintendo to create a fully fledged side area where players can take out all the bosses, and while they're at it, they could also introduce leaderboard so gamers could compete with one another. We've already seen the update happen with Hat in Time, where the developers introduced a Boss Rush mode in a DLC update, and it was an instant hit with the fandom. So, no reason why it shouldn't work with Splatoon 3. Allowing people to take part in a Boss Rush mode and compete for the best time would not only foster some healthy competition, but could also be something similar to Ninja speedruns in Super Mario Maker 2. If you've played Splatoon 2, you know that after completing the story mode, you're given an incentive to play back all the levels with a specific weapon. And if you do, you get a weapon for your efforts, one that you're able to use in lobbies. And while unlocking a weapon does seem like a nice reward, it may not be entirely worth your hard work, since the weapon that you just bought is a simple reskin of a lower leveled weapon. Of course, no one is really happy with it. To make matters worse, the weapon that you get after clearing the levels won't even net you the upgraded version from the upgrade area in the story mode. So, fans want a new weapon as their reward, preferably something with more firepower and range. They can bring back the feature as long as the weapons they introduce as prizes are not mere bragging rights but hold some actual value. Amiibo Challenges. Honestly speaking, Nintendo should never have removed this feature from Splatoon 2. In the original Splatoon, Amiibos were able to provide you with challenges that you could compete with a specific weapon type. Completing these challenges would let you play mini-games that you could indulge yourself in when waiting for lobbies, along with some gear, music, weapons, and other interesting rewards. But for some reason, Nintendo decided to remove the Amiibo functionality in Splatoon 2. And they now do nothing except giving players an exclusive piece of clothing. They also allow you to take pictures and save certain outfits, but that doesn't really make up for it, now does it? So for Splatoon 3, fans want to see Amiibos make a comeback with different challenges and a timer to give them that rush. Speaking of mini-games, we wanna see more of that. Waiting in Splatoon lobbies is easily the worst part of the game, and the only thing that makes it bearable are the mini-games. These were available in Splatoon 1, but not in Splatoon 2. You could shrink the lobby screen and pull up a mini-game by pressing a button on your control pad, so it would definitely be a good idea to bring those back. Hopefully we'll get to see some new ones along with our old favorites. Splatoon 2 did bring something new with squid beats that you could play, so maybe the developers could include squid beats as one of the minigames. We think everyone can agree that we need the news to be skippable. Like, we love Squid Sisters and Off the Hook, but do they absolutely have to read the same information every time the game is done loading? And do we have to listen to it every time? These new briefings are made mandatory by the developers, but there's hardly anything important to listen to unless there's an update or Splatfest. Most players just button mash their way through the news. Many thought that we'd be saying goodbye to the news in Splatoon 2, but we didn't. In fact, Nintendo managed to make it even longer. So with that said, it'd be a good idea to make the news skippable. Not like we're gonna lose anything. Or if the developers don't want to do that, they could make the news more interesting. Like they could have Off the Hook and Squid Sisters read out the impressive players' achievements. Maybe even advertise upcoming Splatoon 3 tournaments. There are so many options to work with here, and we really want the developers to improve on this part of the game. Splatoon 2 did rather well with Salmon Run. The Horde survival mode was a new addition to the sequel and an absolute hit among players. Not only was Salmon Run a total joy to play, but it also introduced some new variety to the multiplayer experience, something we didn't see before. Weren't killing it in ranked? Or feeling the map rotation for some reason? Well, no problem. You could hop on Salmon Run and take on the raging salmonid hordes. Still, despite receiving considerable admiration from the fandom, Salmon Run will not be making a return. Something about the changing attitude towards salmonids in the game's lore. So if Nintendo is not planning to make a comeback with their star mode, they could most definitely look into introducing brand new multiplayer modes. It would certainly spice up Splatoon 3 and have fans even more excited for its release. Salmon Run is easily one of the best modes in Splatoon 2. Gathering a group of 4 people to take down some nasty salmonid bosses is nothing but chaotic fun. Apparently, Nintendo was worried that people wouldn't be able to find matches, and so they decided to put on a time limit on Salmon Runs, which the entire fandom would agree is plenty annoying. Players find it rather easy to find matches in this mode. In fact, we'd be looking at a lot more gamers if Nintendo would make the mode available 24/7. Making someone wait to avail a service they're already paying for sounds counterintuitive. And so the biggest things that fans want Nintendo to incorporate in Splatoon 3 is Salmon Runs without the time limit. Hopefully, we'll see the game mode make a comeback with bigger maps and better bosses. More than the story, it's the online experience of a game like Splatoon that makes or breaks it. And as we've seen with Splatoon 2 and almost every first-party Nintendo game, the company's online service is completely trash. From Smash Bros to Mario Kart, we've seen the issue too many times. Having your teammate disconnect in the middle of a match really takes the fun out of it. Not to mention how annoying it gets. And so, fans want Nintendo to introduce dedicated servers for Splatoon 3. Now we know it's a big ask, but it'll make the whole experience of the game so much better. And it's really what we're going for here. Of course, with the new game, stuff like new movement mechanics and new weapons are a given. Splatoon 3 is promising us a new pair of musically inclined cephalopods. Every player wants to know what the music idols will look like or act like. What will the backstory be? And will they even be cephalopods? Or are we getting some new idols from different species this time? In Splatoon 2, Callie and Mary took center stage in the single-player adventure, while Marina and Pearl were given the spotlight in Octo expansion. So, will we see the idols again, or does Nintendo have something else planned? Of course, most fans want it to be the latter. We love the old guys, but with the new idols, things would even be more exciting. Splatoon 2 was a vast improvement over the original Splatoon. However, talking about the story mode, we'd say it wasn't all that great. Most fans would agree that the story for the game felt a little like a tutorial. Octo expansion kinda made up for it, but it was a paid DLC that was released way after the game came out. And considering how short it was, players weren't really satisfied in that department. And so we want a better story mode, hopefully one that makes up for the game's inadequacies. We did see the mammalians make a comeback in the Splatoon 3 trailer. The jury's still out on how to pronounce that name, and so it does seem like the developers are going in this direction. We got to see a barren world, and this species seems to be at the center of it all. From that vast desert, we can safely assume that the story is set to be very open and explorative. So maybe we do get what we want, or maybe we shouldn't get our hopes up considering what Nintendo did with Breath of the Wild. Either way, fingers crossed. Alright, that's a wrap on this video. Splatoon 3 is scheduled for release on September 9th, 2022. And until that happens, you can let us know everything you want in the game in the comment section down below. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to our channel for more videos. Bye now.